everyone, welcome to today's session. If you are preparing for UPSC or any state PSC exam, I want you to listen closely because what we are about to discuss is not just a textbook theory. It is a real world unfolding right in front of us, and yes, it is highly relevant for your mains examination, especially General Studies paper 2 and even in your essay paper. Let me start with a very simple idea. For decades, the world believing solving problems together. Imagine a big round table where leaders from all around the world sit, talk, and try to find a solution to the global challenges like climate change, pandemic, international conflicts, and poverty. This idea of collective problem solving is what we call multilateralism. Now you should understand what exactly is multilateralism. If you try to understand the meaning of this word, I will explain that this multilateralism is a system where multiple countries come together usually on a international platforms. For international platform like we can say United Nations, World Trade Organization and World Health Organization. So in this platform which allow these countries to make a decision and address the global issues. So what we can say that it is based on dialogue, diplomacy and mutual agreement. It means everyone get a voice, whether you are a superpower or small island nation, it is about the global cooperation. Sound fair and ideal, right? But here is the twist. This system is under pressure. In recent years, what we have seen a decline in multilateralism, and there is a new idea which arises what we can call as a strategic bilateralism. So which means instead of waiting 190 plus countries to agree on something, the nations are now saying let's cut through the red tape and make a direct deal within each other. So here you should understand what exactly is strategic bilateralism. If you try to understand this strategic bilateralism, it means when two countries form a direct partnership, whether for a defense or a trade or a technology or even we can say climate action that was purely based on national interest. For example, you can think of India-France defense cooperation or India-UAE trade agreements. These are bilateral and strategic, which is not driven by any global concerns but by political needs and the mutual benefits. Sounds ideal, right? But like everything else, even this system has its strengths and weakness. Let's now explore the both sides of this coin. So, what are the advantages of multilateralism? The first important advantage regarding multilateralism, what we can say that first point, it built a global trust and reduced the conflict, which means that when countries interact regularly on an international platform, which increase transparency, dialogue and which replace the distrust. And we can say that agreement replaces the aggression and it creates a diplomatic space to solve the dispute peacefully instead through war. Second point, it ensures the small nations are heard, which means in a multilateral setting, like we can say, for example, United Nations General Assembly, even small or developing countries have a choice or we can say voice. It is not just about the superpower. This brings inclusivity in global decision making. Third, it creates a rule-based international order. What we can say that agreement like WTO rules or the Paris Agreement which help the all countries which follow a common guidelines. This prevents the dominance by a single powerful nation, and this idea which tells us that no one is above the law, not even the most powerful country. The next important advantage, it helps to tackle the global problem collectively, which means issues like climate change international terrorism, or pandemic, which we know that they are not respecting borders. So multilateralism, which allow the country to pool their knowledge, share the resources, and coordinate effort for the common solution. For example, we can say during COVID-19, the global vaccine sharing under COVAX was one such multilateral effort. But then, what are the disadvantages of multilateralism? The one of the important disadvantage of multilateralism, what we can say, it is often slow and inefficient, which means getting 193 countries to agree on anything is a Herculean task. Negotiation can go on for years. This delay action in times of emergency. Like for example, we can say during war of environmental disasters. That can be example. Second point, powerful nation ignore the rules when it does not suit for them. Which means multilateralism only work when all countries play fair. But powerful countries like United States of America have often bypassed or we can say withdrawn from the agreement when it suits their national interests. Like we can say, for example, walking out of Paris Agreement or World Health Organization. That are the example of this point. Then the next point, we can say that there is a gap between promise and the performance. Countries often make a big declaration on climate change or aid, but they fail to deliver when the times comes. This weaken the trust and make the system like, we can say, the system look like a hollow. Then the next point, or one of the disadvantage, we can say it can become bureaucratic and ineffective. Many multilateral bodies are criticized for being slow, overly formal, and politically biased. Instead of solving problems, they sometimes get stuck in the red tape. Sometimes they get stuck in the red tape. Now, let's look at why multilateralism is declining globally. One of the important points regarding the declining of multilateralism right now in the globally, what we can say, the shift started when the countries, especially United States, which began to withdrawing from the global commitment. For instance, under the President Donald Trump in his first term, the United States of America, they pulled out of the Paris Accord, and not only the Paris Accord, the Donald Trump who withdrew from the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, and even from the World Health Organization during the COVID-19 crisis. This move clearly signaled the national interest is first, the global interest is later. So this attitude has created a domino effect. Countries are no longer waiting for consents in a slow-moving multilateral platforms. So instead, they are forming a strategic bilateral, or we can say that mini-lateral partnership, where few like-minded countries coordinate directly, which bypassing the larger institution. For example, we can say that one of the major example is Quad, what we call the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue. That is between India, United States, Japan and Australia. They focused on Indo-Pacific security, or what we can say that India's deepening bilateral ties with nations like Israel, United Arab Emirates and Russia. So why does all this matter to you? As a future civil servants, because India is right at their center of this transformation, we are no longer just a passive followers of global rulers. We are trying to shape them. From demanding a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council to balancing the relation with the rival nations, India's foreign policy is evolving very fast. And this shift from the multilateralism to strategic bilateralism is a hot topic for your UPSC mains examination. You may get the questions like, is multilateralism is declining? The UPSC will ask you to critically examine. The other question you can expect in the upcoming mains that discuss India's approach to the international cooperation in changing global order. Or you can expect a question that evaluate the rise of bilateralism and its impact on global governance. This question linked directly to the General Studies paper 2, especially under the topic like India and its neighborhood and international relation and the global governance. And if you are attempting the essay papers, the themes like India and the New World Order and the diplomacy in the 21st century or balancing the national interest with the global responsibility can easily be framed around this debate. So take the notes, reflect deeply, and let this session not just prepare for your question, but for your career in service of the nation. Let's continue with this journey of learning together. Thank you.